You are now live with Dylan Kimlin.
Hello everyone, this is Dylan Kimlin and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are touching on a topic that is relevant to the Australian pickleball scene and also our New Zealand pickleball players, as I will be looking at the Australian Pickleball Championships and also the New Zealand Open. I've had the pleasure of calling both of these tournaments for several years now, and I can happily say that I'll be doing it again this year. So next weekend I will be going across to New Zealand to commentate the NZ Open, and then the following week I'll be doing the Australian Pickleball Champs. Needless to say, it's a special time of the year. These are just incredible events, and I'm so excited to be able to call these again. It's a very privileged position to be able to talk about and promote players across both countries in the national tournament. It's amazing. Before we dive into it, if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, as well as follow me on social media. The YouTube channel low-key starting to build. I've had people in the last couple of weeks say to me, Dylan, is this an avenue that you really want to dive into full time, this content creation? And honestly, for you guys at home, this started off just as informative, where I can provide you the news, basically. So let's just say I'm quite happy that it is doing really well, and hopefully, we continue to build. But you subscribing, liking, and sharing the videos does definitely help, and I do appreciate it. Now, today we're talking about APC. T-shirt time before we dive into it. I'm wearing my APC uniform. So this is the green uniform that we had for last year's APC. Very comfortable. Pickleball Australia did very well with these uniforms. And that's more or less it. Let's dive into the news. Now, the Australian Pickleball Champs has been announced for quite some time now. If I bring myself up here, let's see if I muck it up. Oh, we're good and good at this. Now, we're going to look at the history of APC before we dive into this year's Australian Pickleball Champs. And I'm always someone who, I'm a big believer in legacy, I suppose. I'm always looking at how things are growing. I'm a fossil now. I've been in the sport for quite some time. It does make me proud to see how everything's panning along. Now, the Australian, I've just typed in pickleball brackets, of course, or pickleball tournaments now, as it's now called. I've just put in Australian and past events so we can have a look at all the ones that this pops up for. So APC is there. The first one was registered at 2019, and it only had 156 players. Following that, we had one at 2023, which had 433 players. Leading into that, then the one in Sydney, 689 players. And then the massive one last year, which had 1,204 players. The one thing that we are seeing with Australian pickleball is just constant growth. It's crazy. Like it's just nonstop. And there is potentially a content piece in the future for you all on that. Like, do tournament directors expect constant growth? Do they expect their tournaments next year to always have higher numbers? Because there's pros and cons to that, which I'm sure TDs around the country would agree with. Following that, so last year's APC, let's just say, viewers, it was incredible. I was down in Gold Coast, and the results are available on Pickleball Tournaments, but the one thing I really liked was that we got to showcase so many different events. So we had the split age divisions, we had the juniors divisions, we had the para events, we had obviously the pros as well, and so many memorable moments from last year's APC. I do truly think, unless you're a pro chasing prize money, to me, this is like, you have to come to this tournament. It's just a wonderful experience. You get to see all your friends again, get to catch up with people you might not have seen for quite some time, and just to be a part of it is incredible. It's so special what we've built over the years with APC. So well done to Pickleball Australia. So the results, there were a couple real notable events throughout this. Obviously, the first one that comes to mind for me was the split age division, which if I scroll down, I'm assuming it's here somewhere. This just shows how many events we had, by the way. Absolute insanity. There we go. So we got the split age, to which, to me personally, this was exceptional. Like, incredible event. At the very bottom there, we got the 4.0 above. Martin Clark and Joey Wild took down John Nipris and Adam Dagmar. Martin Clark was nearly in tears when receiving this medal. It just goes to show how pickleball's just different. You know, a split age event in any other sport would be like, whatever. But in pickleball, both players were so moved. I know Joey was as well. Like, it's just a genuinely exceptional event. Additionally, you know, we've got all of our other players on court there, and it's one of those events that if I wasn't commentating, I would 1,000% play this. I just think it's so awesome. We also had some really good open players come along from our pro divisions. So obviously there's the gold there between Joey Wild, Mitch Hargraves, Lucas and George. Mitch from memory got Mitchell player of the tournament, if memory serves me right. And I think Kath Griffin got the Spirit of Pickleball award. Spirit of Pickleball, by the way, if you aren't aware, is, in my opinion, it's like how do I word it? It's like the highest award you can receive in pickleball in Australia. It effectively goes to someone who has wholeheartedly dedicated so much time to the sport, to the growth of the sport, and it's Pickleball Australia's way of thanking someone. So big event, and well done to any of our previous recipients. But this event, simply put, you know, over 1,200 players out in Gold Coast. When we're getting closer to October, I was thinking to myself, like, how can they go any bigger? You know, 1,200 is a nightmare from a tournament director perspective, from a tournament organizer perspective. I just don't know how they could potentially grow something. It's already a spectacle. But lo and behold, they've done it. And for last year's APC, I got the pleasure of calling that with Adam Hall, and that was just so much fun. The streams are available on the Pickleball Australia YouTube channel. Please go and have a sticky beak if you haven't yet. This year's APC is even bigger. So we've got pushing 1,266 players. I do have a sneaking suspicion Pickleball Australia may have expected more numbers than that, but I don't think they're going to be complaining because, for starters, anything over 1,000 is just a logistical nightmare organising. Anything over 500 really, even less than that, is a logistical nightmare. But also, it's a good, you know, it gives them a chance to launch. So last year would have been their first big tournament, 1,000 plus, and it would have been pandemonium, like just quickly organising things. Oh, how are we going to do this? And there would have been a lot of learning from that. This year is similar again, but this time they've got the structural things in place from last year's event that they can put into practice for 2025. I guarantee you, once again, they'll be learning from this, and 2026 is going to be incredible. So they've had 2 years to like really hone their craft and have the best tournament teams available, diving into it as such. I think PA low-key wouldn't be too, miffed. You know, people were talking 1,500, 2,000 players. I think Pickleball Australia would be quietly happy that they got 1,266 because that's, for starters, a gigantic number. But also, it's not too big. They can still manage it, if you know what I mean. Now, the APC for this year is, simply put, going to be crazy. I can't, or rather I won't, announce commentators just yet. I will say that I am commentating it, which is amazing. I've had plenty of talks with a bunch of you in the past, 2 months, asking me to come and commentate certain events, that you miss the commentary, and I always appreciate the kind words. I've just been so busy with so many different events at the moment. So to be able to call this event, hopefully I get to call your game at home. But we will be doing, and I've got to be careful, obviously, what's confidential and what's not. So I'm not going to reveal too much. I'm sure Pickleball Australia will in due time. But I will say that it's going to be exciting. So I'll leave it at that. I will start with one little controversial point because, Dylan, I don't mind dipping my toe in the dangerous. And there was recently a post from PA talking about that you had to pay to see show court. So if you wanted to be there in person, they've got, I imagine, a lot of seating available to be able to jump in and watch show court. And I believe there was a forum on it, like a meeting that occurred this week. At the time of recording, it is the 18th of September. I don't know how I feel about it, viewers. Like, I mean, make no mistake about it, even though I'm calling this event, I'm not a PA staff member. I mean, recent content that I've posted has definitely shown that I'm all about the players and doing what's best for the Australian pickleball scene. But I've probably promoted the Pickleball Australia brand more than anyone else. I mean, they have countless hours of streams on their YouTube channel, and I've done it all. So as such, I'm on both sides, right? I will say, you know, I'm someone, before I make a business decision that may be perceived negatively, I have a little training exercise. And for our up-and-coming pros that are looking at paddle brands and etc., this might be something that could be beneficial for you too. The question that I ask myself is, will the pros of the financial gain outweigh the cons of the negative public perception? And that there is a good, you can sort of be like, is this a good idea? Rah. I think, you know, the public decision from PA to have players effectively pay to see local seating, I don't know whether it's financially worth the anger of the players, but I will say what it is worth is, and I'm trying to be very delicate with my wording here, is you're creating a habit. So we've already seen this with the PPA, okay? So the Australian Pickleball Open this year, by the way, was an amazing event. Had like you have to pay to go in and watch the main court. Now, if I can guarantee you, if they do another one in next year, 2026, you at home, if you went to last year's one, it's to be expected that you pay again. So it's like, well, that's the norm now. I can see Australia, like the Australian Pickleball Championships, is trying to do this as well, so that down the road it won't be a question. And maybe I'm revealing trade secrets here, but that's just business. Okay, that's how it works. So I can understand both the ire of the players, but also I can understand why Pickleball Australia are doing it. This is such an expensive event. They need to try and cut costs wherever they can. You at home may have differing opinions on it. I'm rather neutral on it. I'm just like, I can see both sides. Okay. Let's dive into this year's APC and the events that I'm really looking forward to. There is a massive event on in China at the same time, which has definitely taken some of our pros. I believe it's China. It's overseas, regardless. So as a result, our pro numbers they're probably a little bit all over the place. But we'll look at the pros and then we'll go through and look at some of the other divisions, to which I'm very excited for. So for the men's, this name immediately, I am so happy to see back on the court. So I won't go into depth about Mr. Anderson, but Kyle has had some, I'll use the term, he's had some medical things going on. And obviously he's had bits and bobs with getting back onto the court. He's teaming up with the superstar and Kyle Stoker. Those two playing together is just, it just warms my heart. Great to have Kyle. That's immediately, straight off the bat, a good news story immediately. So hopefully we get Kyle Anderson on the interviews at some point. But that's really positive. Following that, I mean, the team lined up here are awesome. Great to see Harry Brown back. He played last year's APC. And for Harrison, I thought it was his year that he really exploded off the blocks. I believe he got a silver against, was it Mitch in the singles? I think it was. And that was a fantastic match. No, it was Tom Evans. Sorry, it was Tom Evans. Harrison took a match off Tom Evans in the gold. Testing my memory here, I could be wrong. But either way, it was an amazing match. And that, I think, was when Harrison's career skyrocketed from this event. It was his trajectory. We also had some mad spicy moments happen all around the court. All the Opens players will know what I'm talking about. But as such, very entertaining, good pickle around across the board, and just a good time. Great to see, so many of these teams teaming up. I mean, Joey Wild, Louis Laville teaming up is nuts. That's a very strong team. I don't mind the mix of Lavers and Massey. Great to see Kyron coming back into the mix of it. Tomahawk teaming up with Ryan Morris is interesting as well. And across the board, like the men's division, I think is going to be pretty solid. There's a lot of teams there that could potentially mix things up. Now, for the pro seniors events, so once again, some very strong teams here. I mean, Tony Field and Christian Andrade immediately, that is nonsense. Like very difficult teams to go head to head. Great to see Fabian back in the mix of it again. I know he's had a little bit of time off with competing, but he's obviously teaming up with the Sockman, Mr. Kluss. Once again, very strong side. Tech T, Ivan Stride. Great to see the New South Wales fellas once again teaming up. And also my boy, Tony Pollard. I say hello to Tony at every tournament. This man goes to nearly as many tournaments as I do. Absolute legend of the scene and a wonderful bloke. Now, singles events is a much bigger draw. 24 players in the men's singles, which, I'm quietly becoming a big fan of singles. I think there's a lot of players in these divisions that will really make for some entertaining pickleball. Obviously, Andy Horridge is in there. He's been on a tear recently, superstar from Perth. Aaron Johnson, low-key, playing some good singles as well. Tarn's always in the mix. I mean, he's expecting a bub any minute now, so I imagine he'll be probably a little bit distracted. But you look at some of these other names. So I already mentioned Lavers and Laville, very good singles players. Josh Nipris is in probably career best form at the moment. So you combine him with obviously Joey Wild, Cole Stoker. This is just and Harry Brown. Like low key, men's singles is going to be must-watch pickleball. That's going to be very strong, and I'm very excited to be able to cover that. With the pro men's, similar again. Obviously, Jason Kerr's back into the thick of it. Brad Klass is in there as well. I think some of these names, the pros is going to be... I can't call who's going to take this for the men's. Now, the ladies' divisions, I will say I was quite disappointed. The numbers are way smaller. So we've just looked at the pro men's divisions. They're stacked. Whereas the ladies, some of the teams are just smaller, like across the board. So, I mean, obviously Sarah and Katie, the double lefty duo, is going to be very strong. I actually don't mind the duo of Talia and B, and obviously Nancy and Millie. I haven't seen Millie play too much, so I'm going to be very curious to see how those two team up. Nancy, I think, has been in very solid form since her NPL seasons. Now, the pro women's divisions, this here is like, it's like, because there's been a little bit of drama with the Masters players recently, viewers. Don't know if you at home are kept up to date. I'm not going to delve into it too deep. I've probably had a little bit too much spice on this YouTube channel in the last couple of months. But this here, there's going to be some fire with the women's. So once again, must watch pickle. Going to be very curious to see how that all pans out. Very similar with the singles division. Now, Taya is quietly, not even quietly, she's come on out of nowhere. Players are like, wow, she's the next summer, talking her up. This here is going to be very interesting to see. I think Katie Hart is probably the number one seed in this group. B. Massey is obviously very solid singles as well. Yeah, good to see Remy in the mix of it as well too. She's been playing for quite a while now, and always a pleasure to call her matches. The women's pros, basically the same group. Some tough opposition there. Once again, spicy. Going to be very interesting to see how that all pans out. Now, mixed, it's funny, viewers. I was talking to, because I've been playing so much paddle lately, because in that sport, mixed is not a thing, not really a thing. They don't cover it, they don't talk about it. And they were saying, what, is mixed a big deal in pickleball? I was like, yeah, to some people, mixed is all that matters. So the mixed duos here are really cool. I love the combination of Sarah Burr and Harrison Brown. That's going to be so strong. Taya and Ollie, believe both of them got named in the Australian side going over for World Pickleball Cup recently. I'm testing my memory there. I made it very publicly known that I had nothing to do with that team. We'll leave that there. Katie Hart, Joey Wild, the Eastern Rush duo, teaming up again. Great to see those two as well. B and Louis. K-Mac with Aaron Johnson. Once again, another good duo. This here is interesting. Katie and Andy's going to be... I'm going to be very curious to see how this one pans out. And Nari and Jose, obviously the NZ Hustle Challenger side team, mixing it up as well. You continue going along. The teams here are good. So Deb and Jake, low-key, solid team. Nancy and Kyron, obviously we've called them in the past for NPL as well. Talia and Chris, shout out to the Vic Open. I had the chance of calling a couple of matches with these two in the booth with me. Oh man, absolute riot, these two. That'll be very fun seeing their matches. And once again, Millie and Josh, there's a lot of teams in this that it's like, how is this going to pan out? Like, I don't know how these games are going to go. Very interesting regardless. Now, the Masters are very much in the same boat. Across the board, these teams here are super just even. It's like absolute highlight pickleball with our pros for our 50 plus AR events. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing this is just mental. Like, I will say across the board, the Masters women's singles events and the men's pro singles events, if you're a singles fan, but I'll also say the mixed events are going to be legit. So I'm very much looking forward to mixed and singles days for our events for both the pros from, the Masters and non-Masters players. Across that, then we've just got every division under the sun. It's mental. I'm so excited about these divisions here. So the 80 plus players, I'm so happy to see my boy Mark Griffin playing. I had the pleasure of effectively, I don't want to say I taught him how to play pickleball, but I was involved with him at Morayfield when I was the president there. So really cool to see Mike playing in the 80s. I really hope we get those games on the broadcast. Time will tell. And look at all of our para events. This is really cool as well. So we're starting to introduce it, especially with Pickleball Tournaments Australia. We're starting to introduce more para events within pickleball. I think this is a group or a category of pickleball that will grow. I do personally believe we need to put in more effort promoting these divisions. I do everything I can to possibly promote these divisions, but I'm talking about the Australian pickleball public to get more players in. So yeah, we've got these events here, as well as the para standing, wheelchair doubles, etc., etc. Very cool to be able to do the para events. And then following that, look at these divisions. I want you to read those numbers. Okay. So split age, so 3.0 to 3.49, 11. Split age, 3.5 to 3.9, 27, with 3 on the wait list. Split age, 4.0 to 4.49, 36. That is mental. So cool. So obviously these events are just going to be so amazing. Once again, I love the split age. I think it's one of the best things in pickleball. I know there's a lot of people that feel the same way. Very cool to be able to see so many teams playing in that division as well. And the rules are simple, as you can see at the top here. One player must be under 50 and the other player must be over. Simple as that. For our singles divisions, there are a ton of them. I think one thing I'm very excited about is our juniors. I'm not going to open it up and read it. Obviously, privacy for our junior players. But the fact that we have 9 players for the 14 and unders is really cool. I think similar to the para divisions, I do believe our schools and our juniors, that's a demographic that we need to build upon. I did do a video recently on juniors. Additionally, we have some of the best young players coming through. And obviously, with the right coaching, those events will continue to just excel. Following that, we've got a ton of various divisions. I will say straight off the bat, the 35 plus and the 50 plus divisions, in my opinion, are some of the most cutthroat divisions in Australian pickleball. Unfortunately, because there's so much emphasis on the pro space, these divisions aren't really talked about. But straight off the bat, this here is going to be fire. The 35 men's singles 4.5 is such an entertaining division and definitely one to watch if you are going to APC. Very similar, the 50s. So the 50s men's singles is so strong across the board. So it depends what division you're looking for. I think the 50s really cool. This year we've added the 55s. So they're trying to add different age groups as we go along. And honestly, fair enough. Oh my goodness, Dom's playing. Have I got some stories about Dom Ventura? So when I was director of Focus Pickleball Redcliffe, I used to call him the crash test Dommy because Dom would just throw himself into fences. He is mental. Really cool to see Dom on that list. Good luck, mate. Don't hurt yourself too much. Shout out to the first aid staff because they'll no doubt be attending to him. But as we continue to go along, as I mentioned already, we've got a whole bunch of various events for our events. Continuing, skinny singles, which, you know, you talk to pickleball purists and they don't like skinnies. I love skinnies. I love playing it. I love coaching it. And additionally, I love commentating it. I just think it adds a chaotic element to the broadcast. And you players, the numbers don't lie. Look at that. We've got nearly the same amount of divisions as we do for singles, big singles. So skinnies is quickly emerging as a fan favorite as well. Now, I'm trying to keep a shorter video here, viewers, because I do have a tendency to ramble, but some of you love it. I know I've been told that people put these videos on when they're driving, so that's cool. I won't take up too much more time on APC. Obviously, there will be more events coming through that you'll be able to keep up on the Pickleball Australia social media pages with announcements, etc. It's only in a couple of days, so exciting. The final thing I do want to touch on is that there's co-ed doubles. So co-ed obviously meaning gender doesn't matter. You can play with whoever. Really cool to see a wide variety of co-ed events here. We'll finish up on our hybrids. It's really cool to see players. So one player with a hybrid event, one player has a disability, and one player is able-bodied as labelled by Pickleball Australia. So once again, the hybrid events are super exciting. I'm very happy to see some of these players and some of these names. It's going to be a very fun event, and I look forward to being able to call a whole bunch of it with you at Pickleball Australia. Now let's lead over to New Zealand. So I have the pleasure of saying that I'll be commentating New Zealand next week. So 26th to 28th of September. 445 players, which is amazing. That is growth from last year. New Zealand Open last year had just over 300 players. Really cool to see Somerset also back on board with the NZ Open. I think, you know, it's an event that is it's similar to Australia. It's just going to keep on growing. And the NZ fan base, the NZ player base, I just have so much respect for. They are amazing. When we have pro events in NZ, they are easily the loudest crowds we've ever seen across the board. They're diehard, and they play a bit of a different way to Australian pickleball. A lot of bangers. They hit the ball very hard. It was this year I did the Wellington Pickleball Cup. Was the first time I saw a hucker live while commentating. I had to mute myself because there was a medal presentation and there was a big hucker going on. That's amazing. As someone who is right into my cricket and, you know, rugby, I fully respect that. I think that's awesome. And the NZ Open should be another good time. Now, the numbers here are solid in different divisions. So the Opens, right? The 4.0 has 30 teams in it, which is amazing. Now, there's probably a bunch of you at home that might not necessarily know some of these names. I've had the pleasure of calling a Croyd in the past, very solid. And I think, as well as Mr. Glogowski, shout out to the Glogowski duo, they're lovely fellas. There are some names here that you at home might not necessarily, especially if you're Australian, you might not necessarily know who they are. Parry Collins, the duo for their mixed team, low-key, very solid. I would love to see them play here in Australia and take on some of our higher-up mixed teams. I think they would do okay. Very good to be able to commentate those guys. And just look at those names. I mean, these two here, my goodness, what a strong duo that is. Connor Robershaw, Jay Grewal, obviously two Major League People Australia superstars, Jay being the captain of the Southern Stars. They will probably, I'd say definitely go into this as the top seed. Additionally, we got James in there as well. Great to see James Wilson playing this event. Obviously continues to get better as he goes along. I've had a lot of matches that I've called for him in the past. As we go on down, once again, singles. Seeing a pattern here, right, viewers? In that singles low-key is starting to become a very prominent event in our pickleball tournaments. Back when I started playing, no one played singles because we were all too lazy. But so 42 players playing singles. This is nuts. I very much am looking forward to showcasing the singles events for you all, as I just think these events you unearth so many just cool players. You don't know what to expect. It's going to be a good time. Some awesome names there as well. For our ladies divisions across the board, they have quite a lot. The 4.0s, they have 21 players, which is amazing. I definitely think the women's turnout in this is, to me, is more pleasing than APC. Obviously, we're talking about a 4.0 compared to a pro event, so there is a little bit of a difference there, but overall, pretty happy. Some of these names, obviously, Katrina Fowler, I've called her in the past. She's very solid. Great to see Louise Oxnevard playing in this event, teaming up with Felicity Oxnevard. I don't think I've called Felicity in the past, but Louise obviously has been playing very well in the last year or so. Great to see her there. Lizzie Brady's another one, continuing to improve every day and taking on so many of these top players. Michaela Winyata, I think I might be pronouncing her name wrong there, is another player that I've been very impressed with every time I go over to NZ as well. Across the board, then we continue on down. 25 again for the women's singles divisions. Once again, ladies over in NZ just getting more involved. I love to see it. We then have our mixed events, which I think very similar to Australian Pickleball Open. The mixed event is going to be great. So just those numbers alone there, viewers. We have 32, 33, and 25 just for 3 separate events. So that's like nearly 100 players just in 3 divisions. Goes to show you NZ Pickleball love their mixed play. For the 4.0 and above, once again, a lot of solid players there. This is a name here that I think if he took pickleball really seriously, I think he could cause a ripple. Andy van der Vyver, I had the chance of calling him last year's NZ Open. There may have been a few sandbagging discussions brought on because I believe he was a very high-ranked tennis player who then came over to pickleball. I have a feeling that may have been his first tournament. That's not his fault. If it was, he's got to play somewhere. But he's obviously been immediately ranked up to a 4.5 as a result. Very interesting player to watch and definitely one that I'd like to see continuing to prove. Once again, Lizzie and Connor teaming up. Good to see. Dupree is a name that she's very solid as well. Had the pleasure of calling her a couple of times now throughout these events, and it's going to be very curious to see how the different duos go. Jordan Holiday rather, shout out to their family. Jordan I've had the pleasure of having him commentate a couple of events with me. He's just full of enthusiasm and energy, and once again, continues to improve every time I call his matches. So we'll leave that up there, viewers. Now for the NZ Open, what to expect. So I will post information relevant to the broadcast early next week. I'll get stuff out on my social media pages, which I've got up on screen for you as well. And we will start to build the broadcast as, I'll give you more information relevant to which days to watch, stream, etc. Now, Australian Pickleball Champs is mental in regards to the timing of it all. So it is the 29th to the 6th, so 29th of September. So I'll do the NZ Open, fly back from Auckland, have 1 day off, and then start commentating for you all for like 6 days straight or something. So you're going to get tired of hearing this voice, I'll tell you that. But once again, APC, all of the broadcast information will be out publicly for you, I imagine, close to the event. So you know where to tune in, watch your friends and family play. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to wrap this up, trying to keep this as a shorter video. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you see me at APC, come and have a chat. Give me your opinion on what videos I should be putting out. If there's any topics you want covered, let me know. At the end of the day, this is all just for fun. So if I can get various topics out there and various topics discussed, I think it's just good for the scene. So thank you very much. Have a lovely day, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.